I feel superhuman. I can.
I'm Tina, and I was in the 7-step class in July also. First of all, I took the test. I got my cert, and that weekend while we were here, I got a text from my boss, and a woman had filed a state complaint against me, and she had talked 3 men into complaining, but they wouldn't do state, but they complained to my boss. And so he doesn't work on the weekends, and he texted me and said, call me. So I got freaked out. I called him. We talked about it. He said, you're not gonna lose your job, but we gotta do some stuff. Okay. So I came back in here, and I was freaked about it. And so I had to do some clearing on that. And so when I went back to work, I had to deal with that. And everything was fine. They already knew that client. They had already experienced things with that client, and they knew that what I said about what happened is what happened. And the 3 guys that she got convinced to complain about me. All 3 of them have had to come into my group and sit there and are expecting me, because I'm a hard ass, excuse my language, expecting me to blast them, and I'm treating them like nothing happened. And working with them, and one of them had to come in the next day and ask me for a favor to save his job. And it was, where usually I would have sat them down first and punished them. So that was a big change. My nephew was murdered in 2012, and we've been going to court. There were 4 defendants. We've been going to court for 6 years. We have still 1 more to go, so it's going to go into next year. And every time I went to court, I was angry. And I worked with Marty. I worked with Marty the night before I went to the trial, and one of the trials. And we worked on my anger. In my head, I was working on my anger for that specific day, so that when I went on that day, I wouldn't be angry. And what's happened is I have gone to court many, many times since then, and for different defendants, and there has been no anger. Wow. There's even compassion and some forgiveness. I did my finances are improving for some reason. And I'm not taking them, I didn't take the money course, but because of my thinking, that my thinking is changing, and the way I feel about and look at money has changed. And so, it's gotten so much better. I used to live in lack, and I'm not living like that anymore.
Wow.
I'm living with my brother and sister-in-law right now, and my brother, and they are both very, very Christian, and I go to a Center for Spiritual Living, and every Sunday I get up and I'm gone. Every Saturday I get up and I'm gone to a spiritual group, and every Sunday they stay in bed. They're not going to church anymore. And a few weeks ago he asked me about the Center for Spiritual Living, and whenever he's home, he asks me about what I'm doing, and they're both interested in what I'm doing, not just there but here, And, they're noticing the change in me. They're seeing it. And my clients also, like I said, I've always been pretty, I'm a bit rough around the edges. And I've softened up. I don't have to be so hard on them anymore. I mean, there are times when I do, but for the most part, I can just talk to them and just look at them, and and they straighten up. They quit doing what they're doing or talking about what they're talking about. And I had a guy come in to my office last week, and this guy, hardcore Republican, drank because he liked to drink, and he didn't hurt anybody. He didn't cause any problems. The reason he's in rehab has nothing to do with his alcoholism. And every time I'm talking about something, and especially if I get into mindfulness or any kind of spiritual stuff, he rolls his eyes. And he came in the other day and he walked straight into my office, and he looked like he was angry, and he closed the door. And I sat down in my chair and I said, okay, what's up? And he was almost in tears. And he said, I want to thank you. He said, if you'd have told me 40 days ago, if you'd have told me 40 days ago that a female, a lesbian, a Hispanic would teach me something, that I would listen to somebody like you in the first place, was a miracle. And to be able to stand here right now and tell you that, thank you because you've taught me so much, was a miracle. And they gave me an apple. I think that about covers it.
What was that last part?
I think that about covers it.
That about covers it. Amazing! Wow, thank you. Well done. The results and benefits of our training are only available to members of our private association. To learn more, call 877-680-8200 or visit totalhealthmasteryusa.com/7 steps.